Boom. What's happening?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
How about you?
Good, good. Hi, everybody. So I am Damon Chambliss,
I'm Kim Next.
and we are on, what's the name of her?
In
In the
the
Next
next
of
of
Time.
time.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I was like, well, we on what?
Yes. Well, we had a 1 week hiatus.
No, yeah, we were.
Did we?
We had a show last week.
Did we?
Yes, we
The
did.
one prior to it.
Yes, we had.
Yes.
Yes,
So that's
we were
what it
off.
was.
Yep.
That's what it was. So
Yep,
that was my
yep.
fault.
Nope.
So, I got a good one for you.
Okay.
I got a good one for you. This is a good one today. So I don't know if y'all know this. I am a contractor, and I was working at actually a buddy of mine's house, high school friend. He has an aging father,
Okay.
and we were installing one of those walk-in tubs.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a lot of older people have to get
Yep,
one of those as
yep,
an
yep,
age
yep,
for
yep,
sure.
Yep.
For sure.
My aunt had it before she passed.
Mm.
But I thought about you in particular because he was, he leaves his house and goes because his father still has their home.
Mm-hmm.
So he is spending a lot of time at his parents' house. His
Okay.
father, his mom's already passed.
Okay.
At his dad's house, tending to him.
Okay.
He's 80.
Okay. He's at his parents' house. not
Yes.
His dad's house. Okay.
He stays there quite a bit, like
Overnight.
Has and had do sometimes.
Okay.
Like, but every day he goes there. Like
Okay.
every day. Like he actually, the physical therapist comes, and now there's a nurse who comes who goes like a few days a week now.
Okay.
But I was just thinking, man, this is taking a toll on him, not just mentally,
Yeah.
financially,
Mm.
but what about the toll on his marriage?
Like in the family.
Family
life.
dynamics.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Kids
yeah.
are a little older, they're a little older.
Okay.
But I mean, they're grown, but you got a spouse
Yeah. Yeah.
that you're away from and you're now taking care. And the reason why I thought of you, because I know you moved your mom in.
Yes, for a little bit. Yep. My mother had a really tight knit relationship with us as a family and with the kids, grandkids, with my five. But towards the end of her life, the last year or so, she came down. She had cancer in 2017. And with the option that she chose, she didn't choose chemo, she didn't choose
Yeah.
radiation. She was like, I'm gonna take this hormone blocker, and I'm 75.
Right.
So, unfortunately, she didn't choose to really kill the cancer. So the hormone blocker, the cancer got tricky and started to work around the hormone blocking. So in 2021, it came back and it had a spread. So she was really with us about a year almost, not with us living here, but she was sick for about a year before she passed. So kind of, well, it really did suck. It was a really
But
hard
wasn't she
journey.
here almost every day?
Uh,
Not here, but here. Wasn't she at your house
She
with the
lived-
kids,
she lived
helping
here.
out and all that?
Oh yeah, well, growing up, when with our family moving back up until probably 2008, she was a regular like caregiver. I
Yeah.
worked, I left, she watched the kids. Anytime I worked after that, even when I worked for the school district, if I subbed, she'd come over and sit with them until
Yeah.
they were all at school age, and then I started working my schedule around my job around them and their school days. But she didn't step in at that point.
Yeah.
She was coming over, once every couple weeks or so towards the end.
Gotcha.
Then by the time she got sick in 2021, she was driving and then she deteriorated pretty quickly. She wasn't able to drive that much.
Okay.
So we did
I felt like she was a staple here for a while, but you're like you said, that was part of them growing up.
yeah, it
Like
was part of
had
she was very much a staple of our lives
whole
as a
unit.
family
Yep.
for decades. And then my dad got sick in 2015, and I think we saw a little less of her, but I think her taking such good care of him ran her down. And then by the time he passed in 2019, she
Right.
had her own health issues. So we
Right.
probably, and then there was COVID, so we didn't see her at all during COVID. That was that whole stay away from old people because you'll
Yeah.
kill them. So
Yeah.
we might have done a couple of driving, standing in the yard things, but we really picked up more with her under caregiving once she got sick. It became more of a caregiving dynamic. So she would stay with us for periods of time because we had a system with my brother and sister where if she wanted to be in her house, which was her preference, my brother and or sister usually was one. Sometimes I think it was both. I'm not really sure about that, but they would stay with my mom at her
Her
house.
house, yeah.
And then if
Because
one
that's the
of
thing. They don't even want to leave their house.
no,
My mother, remember
no,
my brother when he was
yeah,
in, my brother was out of town for like 2 years, and I remember it was like, we'll just stay at his house
yeah,
because it was closer to me,
right.
and
Yeah.
she just didn't want to leave her house.
No, they
Like
don't.
she just did
Yeah,
not want to leave her
and I
house.
think people do better when they don't have to. I was very thankful that both of my parents were independently able to take care of
They
themselves.
aged out well.
They aged out well. My mom got sick with the cancer, but up until, I mean, even November, I remember I took a picture and put it on Facebook because she was sitting on the couch. She had been in the hospital like for 9 days, and I think one of those was she was in ICU, and she
Yeah,
came back, and I looked over, she's sitting on the couch writing bills. And I was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Somebody got to pay these bills." So she was quite a trooper
I wouldn't
until,
pay a single bill.
yeah, I probably wouldn't have either. Like, I'm not paying this credit card bill no more.
Matter of fact, run it up.
Yeah, like right. What are
Yeah,
they gonna do?
yeah,
So she was with us in strength, and I think probably the last month was the hardest for her, and then the deterioration was pretty rapid, the last like 2 or 3 weeks.
okay.
But
So now imagine this: being a sandwich parent,
yeah,
taking care of elderlies and taking care of children, or taking care of parents and taking care of children. Could you imagine having to go to your mom's house every day?
no, and I'm very thankful that when she was there,
That would have
someone
taken
was
a
there.
toll.
That would have taken its toll. Now, I will be honest with you, since you said that, aside from sandwich lifestyle, there was probably a couple other decades where that was me anyway, just because I was the only kid at home.
Same here.
So
Yeah,
if they needed to run to the ER or they were at the ER or the whatever's
yeah.
the whatever it was,
Prescriptions.
I was
Yeah,
the local kid for. I mean, let's be honest, I was a local kid for 20 years.
yeah.
So yeah, but not having an illness that required a lot of back and forth. I do remember when she got sick, June of 2021. She was in the hospital for 6 weeks, I think, at least five, I
So
think.
you were running to the
And I was going
hospital.
to the hospital every single day. I'd
Yeah,
pick up my baby, get her home settled in, drive over to the hospital.
yeah,
So it is hard. It is hard to juggle when your parents are aging and their health is failing. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to.
yeah.
And my dynamic
But
was
it was taxing.
yeah, and
Yeah, you're
yeah,
like, but you were
yeah,
fortunate enough.
yeah.
Wait, were you working at that time?
I was working. I was still working. I was working. I was dealing with the cancer, and then I was raising my family.
Yeah,
So it was a lot. And I just don't even think I had time to think about the cancer, if I'm honest.
yeah,
I was so busy trying to make sure my mom had what she needed, and
yep,
my kids were, still getting mom.
yeah.
So it's a
See,
lot.
so I was watching it from a different perspective because my mother passed
Yeah,
suddenly.
yeah,
Like I didn't.
yeah,
Yeah, other than running her to store,
yeah,
taking her to doctor's appointment. Well, my
right,
brother didn't drive far,
yeah,
so I was when my brother was gone on leave, military, and I was that kid doing most of that
yeah,
ERs.
right,
I don't feel good,
right.
that kind
All
of
of
stuff.
it.
But I never had to take care of an elderly parent like what I'm watching this guy do
Yeah,
every single
single
day.
day.
And I
Yeah,
was just thinking to myself, man, that's got to be tough on your marriage,
yeah.
right?
I'm sure. Yeah,
And I mean across the board, we all have do it, especially in our culture, in the black folk.
oh, that's what we do.
Yeah, you
I mean,
ain't,
you don't.
you don't put them in the old folk home
No,
or
and you
like,
don't do it when they definitely tell you they don't want it. My mom
oh
for a
my
long
God,
time was
yeah,
like, don't put me. She didn't really ever say that as much as she was like, don't let me die in the hospital. She just said, don't let me die in the hospital. Towards the end, she did say, well, maybe I should just go to a facility because I think she felt like she was such a burden to us as kids, and we're like, well, there's no way we would ever do that. So
yeah,
it's fine. We're fine. We're doing this. It's getting done. We did what we had to do, and that's what you do.
yeah, yeah,
And so a marriage, yeah, I can imagine. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think
yeah,
we had the, at least, I guess, for us, when she came into our home, it did make it easier than me having to go back and forth to
yeah,
her. I can't imagine doing that.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
no.
Yep. No, no, I was thinking about that, and I was like, again, like I said, I didn't have a spouse, I didn't have anything,
Yeah,
but I also didn't have to take care of my mom like that. That was, but like I said, watching this dude, and I was just, I actually thought about you because I know you brought your
mhm,
mom home,
uh-huh,
to your home,
Right.
which, like you said,
Yeah.
that helps.
I mean, she passed away here, so yeah, we
Yeah.
had her here with us those final weeks and days.
And
And
imagine if you had a spouse who was, I will say, I don't want to use the word selfishly, but like I remember even when my grandparents were aging and I watched my aunts and uncles take care of them,
yeah,
they would still have to like, I still got to cook dinner,
Yeah.
do this, and then go
Right.
here. They would take turns, staying the night,
right.
you know, take a week here, you get a
Yeah.
week, you get a week, you get a week.
Yeah.
So it was kind of easier.
Yeah.
However, I mean, I just can't imagine. I say this, you have a responsibility to your home, you have a responsibility to your spouse,
Yeah.
you have a responsibility to your kids.
Yeah.
However, I think kids are more malleable sometimes than a spouse can be.
Oh,
Because
sure.
they feel neglected,
Yeah.
and you're like, again, I don't know what advice, because I didn't have that issue, but I could see that could wreck a family.
Yeah.
Like absolutely, that could wreck a family.
Yeah. I think if you're not approaching it from a place of empathy, because at any point in time,
Because it could be your turn.
That's what I was going to say. It could
Yeah.
be your turn. It could be your parents' turn. I think you just are thankful that you have the ability to do it. I think it helps. I think most parents who stay home, or most parents who live with their kids, I don't want to say it this way because they're not a burden, but they don't want to be a burden. They really don't even want to.
Yeah.
So I think you at least create a space, or they create a space where they just don't want to feel that way. But you're right. It's you're not vacationing. You're not,
You ain't kicking it.
you're not able to just like do the small things. I remember we had a friend come in town and we were just going to get ice cream with her. And I was like, well, I can't leave, my mother here. Like I didn't feel comfortable doing that, even though she said, go, it's fine. And she was always cognitively there. For us with mom, it was a physical thing. Like the fall risk was high. And so it was a thing for her.
Mentally sharp.
Body
was just.
Yes, her body was failing.
Yeah.
That was all that was. And I remember going to get ice cream and we're just
Did not enjoy yourself.
No, I was worried like we gotta get back. It's the biggest fear you have is that you're gonna walk in and see your parent, out in the floor. So, but you're not just a random vacation. You're working out with siblings. You're trying to figure out, can someone cover? I know my brother. There was a couple of occasions one of my siblings couldn't really. There was just no flexibility in the schedule. And I remember, McKenna was playing softball, and it was like, I want to be able to be there full throttle for my kid too. And my kids were very understanding, having grown up with their grandmother their entire life. The loss of her was as hard for them as it was for me.
Yeah.
So you're right. I think kids kind of just go with the flow a little better.
Yeah.
And if they're the oldest, they probably could like insert grandma with another kid. Like,
oh yeah,
they having a sibling, you got to share your time and energy and that. But I just remember having to, hey, I really want to be able to do this, this tournament because it was a big deal too. So finding that balance where you are able to do and be all the things you need to be, and or not feeling guilty when you can't.
Yeah,
it does take its toll. On,
I will say this: I do believe, and I even tell my sons, choose wisely.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it comes to a spouse.
Yeah.
Because that's the part I think. So if you get married young and you can get your 20, 25, 30 years in, and hopefully by that time, let's see, that puts you at 50. That puts your parents at 75, 80, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got 30 years in. Hopefully your partner can be like, go take care of your mom.
Yeah.
Go take care of your dad.
What you got to do.
It's them second marriages.
Yeah.
They ain't got that time in.
No.
Right?
Oh, no.
I mean, you think about that. They don't have that time invested on that, because they may have known your parents for 5 years or 10 years,
right?
And they're still want to be in the honeymoon stages, and you're like, I got to do this thing.
Yeah. Because in most cases, I think if you've been married for decades, they're not your parent, but you've known them for decades.
Absolutely.
So the loss is similar. I mean, It's not the same as maybe your parents, but I mean, I know, when Hank passed, that was hard. I mean, I knew him for 24 years, so 25 years. So yeah, I think
Yeah, because like you said, it's your turn.
it's your turn. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
you,
he had a
yeah,
aging,
aging, health,
mentally healthy.
yeah,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I think you always have to approach it to it could be your turn, and it
Yeah.
could literally be your turn. It could be your turn,
Right.
your
Yeah.
turn. But I think having an understanding, and it's a good point in choosing wisely your partner.
Oh, because we know the
yeah.
life. Like again, she's cute. Well, I was speaking from a dad's perspective
Yeah.
of boys. Oh, she's cute, yada yada yada. But if she's loves being a brat and you think that's cute,
Yeah.
now it's not
doesn't
going to
get better.
be. Yeah. It's not going to be.
You
cute
have to
later.
have the depths of like, will this person wipe my mother or father's butt if I'm not here?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
Well, I mean, I'm saying this.
Yeah.
I, being a boy and having a mother, I would have had to get care.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you think if that come down to you guys, I can see
If
that.
we were in
yeah.
that stage,
yeah.
we would have had to get my
Yeah,
mother
yeah,
care. We
yeah,
knew
yeah.
immediately, like she could stay in her own house,
Yeah, but you
but
would
she
have
would get some
somebody
care.
come in.
And I have a funny for
Yeah.
you. I remember when we were all married in our early years, and my mother was not exactly the kindest person to her daughter-in-laws.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one day I was like, "Hey, listen, I don't know if you realize this, but you have boys
Mm-hmm.
who are not going to wipe you.
Yeah.
So you probably should be a little nicer
to
to your daughter-in-laws,
daughters-in-laws.
because they might take
Yeah.
they might step up and
Yeah.
do that. But if you're mean to them, they're gonna not. They're like, screw your mom.
Do you think age played a factor there? Because in your situation, no one's with their original partner.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that age plays into that whole thing? If you played that out, do you think that would have been easier for your partner to do had you come to that situation with your mom being physically not well to take care of herself? It's true.
I think I married a kind person.
Yeah.
My brother's wife, my sister-in-law, and my mother's relationship never got better until the very, very end.
Okay.
So there might have been a
Yeah.
what do you call that, an olive branch,
Yeah.
or an awakening, whatever the
Yeah.
word is.
Right.
I think, but at that time, no. She'd been like, I don't care less what happens to your mom.
They're gonna
Like,
hire somebody.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I remember my brother and I both were single, divorced,
Yeah.
and taking care of mom financially so she could have a good quality of life. But
Yeah.
at that time, if she had gotten sick, no, there'd been a nurse.
Yeah,
It wasn't going to be
yeah.
me, and he definitely wasn't going to do it either.
So thankfully, in that way, not that there's thankful when you look at death, but she was able to take care of herself until she passed.
Yes. And I remember asking my cousin, whose mother, my aunt, passed away 1 month before my mom did. But she, like your mom, was battling cancer.
Yeah.
And I just remember asking her, which was easier? Having the time, knowing that your parents are going to pass, or like mine was just a sudden, my mom died.
Yeah.
Like no warning, no
Right.
nothing. It was just
Right.
unseen. And she said, or you, I don't remember. Well, the end result is still the same.
Yeah. No.
But I thought, but I was selfishly thinking, if you would have the time to take care and nurture and say I love you constantly, then to just your mom dropped dead.
I think the trade-off of the experience of having someone that you can say over and over again, I love you, you are still equally trading off. Like, I remember probably the week my mom passed, slightly into the week before, she was getting to a space with the water. She was filling up with fluid, and the nurse said, her kidneys aren't working, and that's why she's throwing the water. So she got to a space where her skin started to like burst.
Yeah.
Because the fluid was there and didn't have anywhere to go.
Yep.
I can tell you that was terrible. Watching someone struggle.
That's what Melissa said. She said no, because you're watching someone you love
They're
deteriorate.
dying. They're literally dying in front of you.
And my aunt shrunk.
Yeah. But my mom did too. So that part is hard. So I think unless they are 106 and completely coherent and still able to play lottery.
They just go to sleep.
And they go to sleep one day. And like you told them you loved them the day before because you went to the bingo place and then they died. you can go, I had a fullness with them. I
Yeah.
don't know if any of it's ideal or perfect because it sucks.
Yeah.
You just, you don't know when I had one of our church members, he died on the way home from work, and you
That's
don't,
what I'm saying.
you don't, so
Yeah.
you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. So I don't even know if there is a right way that, other than just passing peacefully away at 100,
Yeah.
that is easy to deal with. But there are, things when caregiving, it's just, I don't think anyone prepares in their mind when they're 27 that they're going to reach 47 and then,
They think it's far, far
yeah,
away.
it's not that far. And, working it out, the mechanics of siblings and who's doing what, who thinks they should be doing what, who thought they were doing something, who didn't think they other ones were doing
Oh,
something.
we could talk about
Yeah,
that in the
yeah,
Black Community.
yeah.
That's a whole nother.
Yeah,
Because
that's
I see.
another podcast,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Yeah.
a ugly,
Yeah.
ugly,
Yeah.
ugly,
Yep.
ugly
Yeah.
reality.
Right. And it happens. And, that's not fair because everyone has a perception of what they thought they were doing, or if they thought it was enough, or if they did the best they could. We all have this issue with judging about other people's best they could. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
definitely a stress. I think if you're married, you just really want to have a partner that um, I feel like you want a partner that will want to take care of their parent.
Right. Because then you be thinking,
It's like,
well,
what you gonna do? What you gonna do with me? So
yeah.
yeah, I think that gives you a little window into what you can expect, like
Yeah.
really, and what kind of person they're gonna be for you. So
I will tell you this. I remember one of the nurses said, "Be a daughter," to one of my aunts. She's like, "Be a daughter," because they hired help.
yeah,
And it was like, hey, be a daughter. Sit here, read the newspaper, watch
Yeah,
TV
right.
with them, but let us
Right.
white bathe
Right,
medicine
right,
or whatever,
right.
whatever. Again, I never had
and,
that.
and that's true.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I never had that, so I would have.
Yeah.
I would have taken
Yeah.
that advice.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because with our extended family, that was the wisdom I tried to give my mother-in-law, was like, just be his wife, because I think when the roles get mixed, your natural tendency is going to want to be to take care of your person, your mother, your spouse. But when you cross the roles, there's just a mix of emotions.
Yeah,
And then
because you're like, take the damn medicine.
Yeah, and you're kind of like, you want to caregive, but you're frustrated. So just allowing someone else to create a space. Now, even when my mom had a caregiver, at night they did not do meds. And I remember she was in so much pain one night because they were like, we have to call your daughter. And she was like, I don't want you to wake her. And that was probably just a few nights before she passed. I'm going to get a little teary-eyed because I think it was maybe 2 nights before she passed.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to wake me. That's the mothering component of a child.
Yep.
It just doesn't go away when they're even when they're 48 years old.
Yeah.
She was like, don't wake her. She's tired. I don't want you to wake her. And they called, and I went downstairs, and I was really like, why don't we have somebody that can do this part? Because I didn't mind it, but the way the system was set up, if they weren't a nurse, they couldn't dispense medicine. I'm like, I don't know if I know what I'm doing, but they didn't want the liability, so I had to go downstairs and tend to
Administer
her.
medicine.
And it was 2 days later that I had just had knee surgery, probably the week before. That's what I'm saying. It was a hot damn mess. It was a hot damn mess over here. And literally, I had surgery on Thursday and Friday. So I'm like limping around. And she had tried to get up out of the chair, and she couldn't even get out of the chair.
And you're like, I can't help you
And
right
so,
now.
but I tried, and I was like, I'm gonna lose my footing on her. And so we just put her on one of those little rollers, those little the carts that have the seat.
Yeah,
The what do you call that? Walkers.
Yeah.
And we rolled her in there, and she sat on the bed, and she said, I am tired. And I said, I know you are. I said, I wish I could take this away from you. And she said, I wouldn't wish this on you or anybody. I said, I know. I said, but it's okay. And I knew when she said that was the next
when they
day.
say I'm tired.
Yeah, she said that next morning I came in there and she was just not unconscious and sweat everywhere. I was like, okay, this is happening now. But I remember that was her words, just like, I'm tired. And I could tell like she had enough. So I wouldn't trade any of the experience in hindsight now to have had that moment with her, but it's a hard journey, and you definitely want to be able to stay within your roles if you can, because being a caregiver is what we naturally want to do for our loved one, but it isn't necessarily the smart thing, because I think the feelings can get a little mixed.
So the lesson is, be nice to your in-laws.
Be nice. Look,
Yeah.
be nice to everybody.
Well, yeah, but the parents really need to be nice to especially these moms.
Yeah.
These moms need to be nice to their
Oh
daughter-in-laws.
yeah, I think our pastor he always said, he talks about kids. He's like, you don't realize when that role changes, even with your own children, they put you in a home in a heartbeat. And you would hope they wouldn't, but you want to create a space where if someone maybe doesn't necessarily not want to take care of you, like that feels the urge and a connection to you to see about you, whether that's hired help
Yeah.
or they have to stay with you or whatever. You want to create enough of a connection that
My kids told me they wouldn't put me in a home.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I told my dad's gonna be in a home.
Yeah.
He was like, that's not gonna happen.
No, I don't think most people. I don't know if most people don't prefer it, but most kids don't want to do that. I don't think.
Put me in a home?
No, I mean, I'm always cautious of people that directly go, "You're gonna have to go to a home." Like I don't. I don't. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not even sure if I've had that.
If it looks like it
discussion
does
with
on
my kids.
TV and we playing around and joking and laughing and playing bingo and I can hustle some
Yeah, but
money from the old women or
you-
whatever. But like,
Look,
that
it ain't
might
no
be it.
sitcom. You see these TV specials, and they're like, "Eat this pill, Margaret," and, then they just punch you in the face. They're not. This woman hasn't been changed for 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. It's tough. It can have its stresses. I think there's a privilege that comes from having a parent that you can caregive for, but it certainly isn't without stresses for sure.
Okay. So that's your advice. What's your advice before we hang up?
Put it in writing,
Who wasn't ready?
all of it. Where you want to live, where you don't want to live.
No, I'm talking about as a married person who
Oh.
took care of, like, what advice would you give?
Okay.
No, what advice would
Oh.
you give someone
A married
who
person?
may have to take care of aging
I think
parents? Like,
I think you apply like a golden rule mindset because it could be you, it could be quite literally you, it could be their parent. So be patient, be kind, and be empathetic, and be
Okay.
supportive, and create a space with your partner where you can set the tone for what kind of help you want to provide so that it's not confusing for them either. Like if you say, I got to take care of my mama and that's it.
oh,
right?
yeah.
Just create a space that is open to the
I had an
communication.
uncle who would come over to the house. He would bring dinner and sit with his wife while she was taking care of
That's
him.
a very good husband.
Yeah.
That's a very good husband.
Yeah.
A very good partner.
Yeah.
Yes, is thinking about how do I make that's it. That's the advice. How do I make this as easy as possible for my partner?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And on that note.
Yeah.
How
all
about
right,
that?
okay.
Boom.
All right.
All right.
Well,
Till the next one.
till the next one.
I told you I had a good one.
No, that was a good one. That was a good one. You guys take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye.